Hey guys, I decided to take this video outside. It's a bit hectic in the home, so hopefully out here I'll have a bit more peace and quiet. We shall see. I did have a bear on that tree. Actually, two bears, two cubs, and a mother down. This is Colorado. We had bears, so you never know who's gonna show up. Watch the video till the end. You never know what's gonna happen in my backyard. Anyway, we're gonna wrap up month of September, another fabulous reading month. For me, I'm like a broken record. I've been very careful for the most part with the books I read and very choosy with the titles, doing research before I read the book, and it's really served me very well, as most of the books I read have been excellent. This month, the last book I'm going to talk about is probably going to be one of the top books of the year. It's definitely top three. But first, we're going to talk about a book that I didn't love, Eon by Greg Bear. Now, I enjoyed this book. I'm very happy that I read it, and I could completely understand why it works for a lot of people. Greg Bear really swings for the fences with this story. There's so much happening here. Really great ideas. I just actually thought he's trying way too much and is not concentrating on any single thing, not developing anything very well. It's a big dumb object story. This huge object appears. It's an asteroid, but quickly we realize that it's man-made of sorts as far as interior of it. There are artifacts of our past inside this object. So lots of interesting things are happening. There's a lot about geopolitics, and this was unfortunate for me. This is where things started to go downhill because I really enjoyed the beginning between the Soviet Union and US. I thought it was not presented very well. It lacked nuance for sure. So in any case, it's a good book. I'm glad that I read it. It wasn't my favorite read of the month at all. May have been, in fact, it was my least favorite book of the month. So you can imagine if a book like this, if a Hugo winner becomes my worst read of the month. I have some good ones coming up, but this was fun also because I did this on a buddy read. So I read this book with some amazing people. I've talked about it many times. I'm not gonna discuss it anymore. We did shoot a video, and I will link that video down below if you're curious why all of us, in fact, had similar issues, similar problems to a greater or lesser degree with Eon by Greg Bear. Yeah, I mean, he really tries. He throws so much at the wall. Not everything stuck. But here is a book that was amazing. I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman was a fabulous, thought-provoking, slow read. It's a story that is full of meaning, full of introspection, full of beautiful prose also. A fairly short book. I mean, we're talking about less than 200 pages, like 170 something. In this lovely edition, by the way, I really love this. It's a story about someone who grows up in circumstances that are beyond our understanding, and how one copes growing up and living in that world. We don't know, reading this book, whether this takes place on Earth or somewhere else. Women who we meet do not know where they are, and we don't get all the answers. And in fact, Jacqueline, right in the beginning, in the first chapter, I believe, she kind of tells you that in this story you will not get all the answers. The main protagonist also doesn't have a name. She's a nobody, essentially, but she's such a great protagonist, so strong, so well drawn. And in this case, the author really knew what she wanted to tell us, what she wanted to convey, and she does it with beautiful nuance, things that are left unsaid in this book, but you feel it, you know it. She doesn't need to hit you over the head. I really like this book. I thought it was excellent. I don't know if everyone would get along with this book. It's certainly not for everybody. It's for a certain mood also. If you're in a mood for a fast-paced action thriller, this isn't the one that you should pick up. However, if you're interested in a fast-paced action thriller with some science fiction elements in it, then perhaps, just maybe, The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown may just be the one that you should read. I really enjoyed this book. Now, I shot a video where I was quite negative on this read. It's silly, you know. More stuff happens before breakfast in this story to our protagonist. Langdon than would likely happen in your whole life. And not so much really negative, because I did say in that video that I had a great time reading this book. It was fast-paced. I couldn't put it down. It also takes place in Prague. I visited Prague over the summer, so I was walking in the steps of Robert Langdon. It was incredible to read about some of these places, and this book made me want to go back to Prague, that's for sure. So it really is a book that sparks your imagination. Dan Brown does fabulous research, I think, into many topics, or at least for me, it seemed like it was well done. Lots of intriguing ideas, well presented. But having said that, I just think Dan Brown could start at this point to maybe refine his technique. He's got this cookie cutter of way of telling a story. In every book in the Robert Langdon series, and even others like Deception Point, they kind of are the same. So I quickly get tired of this, because I kind of know what's going to happen, even if I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I know the framing of where it's going, so the surprises are not as great. And this book, like all the others, kind of overwhelms you with twists, with things that are not really likely to happen. I think at this point, Dan Brown could write a better book, a deeper book, maybe a little bit of a slower book. Not everything has to happen at all times. So there was a romance in this book that was pretty okay. I really enjoyed it overall. I think the mystery, the noetic science that it explores, consciousness, I think that part was fantastic for me. I'm really interested in this consciousness aspect. What is consciousness? And here they're postulating that perhaps consciousness is non-local, meaning it does not reside within our minds, that our minds are essentially like these radios that kind of tune into our consciousness. And sometimes when weird things happen, it's because we're out of tuning. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, but it was an interesting read. I really enjoyed it. And the video I shot, I was talking about whether this is a science fiction book. It does have quite a bit, in my opinion, of sci-fi used here. Science, definitely some science that is going beyond the norm. So yeah, pick it up if you've read Dan Brown years ago, like I have, and just put him away because you figured that, hey, I've had enough. After a few years, it hits very nicely, I will say. Immeasurable Heaven by Caspar Geon is a book that I enjoyed. It's a book that was sent to me by the author. Thank you, Caspar. This was, in some ways, incredible, and in some ways, a little bit frustrating. I had a hard time connecting with anyone in this story, so that's the negative. Putting that aside, this book is fabulous. It's well written. Caspar Geon is a good author. The command of the language is fantastic. The book, it's really sharp, and the world is incredible. We have no human characters here, and we're introduced to many different characters, many different types of beings, aliens, ideas, concepts, digging through universes, through realities. A lot is happening in this book. I mean, beings within beings, traveling through space, but really well done when it comes to ideas, when it comes to aliens. Some of the best aliens I've read. Immeasurable Heaven by Caspar Geon, and check it out for yourself. If you like to read about things that are weird, aliens that are different, described very well, I think this could scratch that itch. So yeah, thank you again, Caspar. I did enjoy this book, and yeah, I'm so happy that I read it. And now, last but not least, this is a book that is going to vie for my favorite book of the year award, The Prestige by Christopher Priest. So first of Christopher Priest, I already knew the author. I already loved the one book that I read by him, and that, of course, is Inverted World. Fantastic story, a mystery that you're slowly figuring out. This is a completely different book than that. This is less of a science fiction story. For a good part of it, I watched the movie years ago, so I knew I liked the movie quite a bit. I wanted to read the book, but I didn't remember exactly what's happening. I knew that there are two magicians who are vying for supremacy, have this hatred of one another, who are playing tricks on one another. That's the extent of what I remember. And for a long time, I was thinking, okay, this is a lot of fun, but not science fiction. But then we get to the part where science fiction comes in, speculative aspects. And it was brilliant. This book slowly sucked me in. I did not love it in the beginning. This book had a bit of that snowball effect. I spoke one of the videos, I don't know if you've seen it, but I talked about the snowball effect in books where they start slow. I was specifically talking about Ursula K. Le Guin's books, and Left Hand of Darkness specifically, as a great example of a book where I was right away, interested, well written, but it was building. It was building like a ball of snow that kind of collects as it rolls down a hill and becomes bigger and bigger, and then sparks an avalanche of emotions. That's how I first felt about Left Hand of Darkness. This is how I felt about The Prestige, all the way up until the end, when the avalanche came to a stop on the last page. I was just like, what a ride. What a ride. So this was a fantastic story. I don't want to say too much about it. If you have not read The Prestige or watched the movie, I would recommend doing both, but certainly read the book first. I think it goes in a direction that the movie doesn't necessarily, if I remember it correctly, go. And just great fun, beautiful writing, great ideas. Yeah, to this book, oh gosh, I don't know. I have a few that are very high up on my list of favorite books of the year. There are quite a few actually, but I think off the top of my head right now, I would name this one, The Algebraist, I would name as one of my favorite reads, just stuck with me. And The Terror by Dan Simmons as well, a great story. So yeah, great stuff. This was amazing. Right now, I'll just tell you quickly, last night I started reading Stanisław Lem's memoirs, Found in a Bathtub. This is a book, I'm spitting. This is a book I read many years ago in the original Polish. I don't actually have that book in Polish anymore. And when I found this copy, I had to have it. I picked it up. I started reading it. I'm enjoying it so far. It's interesting. It reminds me of Kafka and the trial, where things are kind of happening and you don't really understand why. And our protagonist certainly has no clue what the heck is going on, and he is in this maze of destruction, maze of secrecy, this interesting world that is kind of falling apart. The book has an interesting structure where you get the introduction first, that kind of sets up what's happening, sets up what the book is about. This introduction is taking place from like a point of view of year 3100 something, so much into the future. But then we get to see the memoirs. We get to read the memoirs, Found in a Bathtub, and that's the main story. And it's a lot of fun. Genius things, really interesting. You have to read it carefully to pick up on the clues. It's well translated. I think it's well translated for sure. Again, I don't remember the Polish book because it's been so long, but this feels like it's been very well translated. Kendall is the translator, and he is the best. So anyway, that's it. That's my September. My October is starting out strong. We'll see what else I read. We have some buddy reads planned, possibly for later on this month also. And yeah, I'm really excited. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.